Hi, I'm Theo Bronskill. I'm an elder with the Lenape Indian tribe of Delaware. My native name that was gifted to me is Three Winds. We are a matrilineal society. We introduce ourselves through our mother's lineage. That is the Lenape way. This means that we are descended from our mother's clan. We are who our mothers are. The Lenape way was that women were involved in the decision making process for the greater good of the tribe. Women controlled the resources and economics. Land represents something very different to Native American people. In popular American culture, land is something that you can possess. You can conquer it, you purchase it, trade it, mine it, farm it, you can develop it, you can exploit it. Land is money. That is why it is called real estate. But in Native American culture, land is not a commodity. It is an intricate living part of Native culture. Land is not something that you can buy or conquer. It cannot belong to us. We belong to it. Land is that which bears life, that which nurtures life, that which protects life, and sometimes that which disciplines life. Very much like the female persuasion of all species. So, because life itself and land itself have such feminine characteristics, women are the ones that reserve the right to maintain it. Land and women are synonymous, two parts of the same entity. Land is our mother, and in most Native American languages, the word for land is the same word for mother or woman. So, because women reserve the right to maintain land, this changes not only how we utilize land, but how we navigate through it, and it also changes how our families and communities are formed. In popular America, in popular American culture, when families are formed, traditionally the woman goes with the man. After they take their vows, what is the first thing that a woman does? She takes his surname and she becomes forever known as part of the man's clan. The man's clan recognizes her as part of the man's clan. Society at large recognizes her as part of the man's clan. But in Native American culture, it is often a different situation. When men and women come together to marry, traditionally the man goes with the woman. Why does he go with her? Because she has the land, because she is the land. Any children they will have are known as part of the woman's clan. Any girls will stay and inherit and maintain the land, and the men will leave and go to the communities that they married into. So the women are always the constant factor, the unchanging part of community. I come from my mother. She comes from her mother. And she comes from her mother and all we come from our great grandmother. We are the women of this land, Mother Earth, the land of the Lenape.
Peace. My name is Dominique London, and I am currently sitting on a piece of land that was previously stewarded by my grandmother, Pauline London. And I am very grateful and have a lot of gratitude for being able to steward this land after her. I was able to save this land a day before the city's sheriff's sale in Philadelphia. Land is important to me because not only does land provide, right, but that's such a capitalist way of thinking about everything, right? What is it that we're receiving from people and things? We all know that we get our food and our sustenance from the earth. But the thing that's most important to me is the lesson of Aini, or sacred reciprocity. When we are in service to the earth, when we are tasked with replenishing the soil that we've destroyed or rebuilding habitats that we've torn down, it actually improves who you are as a human being. And so land is important to me because it teaches me that I am to be of service of others at all times for my own sustainability, for my own just health, mental health, spiritual health. And so that's why land is important to me.
What this land means to me, to our Lenape people. Our ancestors were here living and working this land many, many years ago. This land we grew up on. We played, we picked strawberries, we picked corn, beans, and on Saturday nights we made homemade strawberry ice cream. I remember one day when Mr. Ed Height was talking to us at one of our annual gatherings, and he said that this land belonged to the Hanser Durham family. That touched my heart so much because I am a descendant of the Hansers and the Durhams. I thank God, our Great Spirit, every day for this land, and I hope one day it will be returned to us. Morning Spirit.
Hi, my name is Trinity Norwood. I am a citizen of the Nanticoke Lenai Lenape Nation. Our ancestral lands are where we are right now in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and even the southern part of New York. As a Lenape person, this land is connected to my very existence. It's where my ancestors lived, loved, and died. Without this land, there'd be no Trinity. My ancestors lived off the gifts of this land and what it provided for them, and thanked Mother Earth for her daily sacrifice so that we, as a people, could continue to survive. And this is a tradition we continue to practice today. Many of my tribal family members farm our traditional foods and medicines, as well as practice traditional hunting and fishing tactics, continuing our strong bond with the land. As a woman, I'm connected to this land as a giver of life. And like a spoiled child, mankind has continued to take and take from its Mother Earth, not realizing or just simply ignoring the consequences of a one-sided relationship. As adults, we typically at some point in our lives embrace the fact that in time we will have to pour back into our parents and take care of them. So it baffles me and breaks my heart that many people don't make that same connection to this land that we live on. This land grounds us, all of us, both physically and spiritually. It connects us. Being a part of a culture that constantly battles erasure, my understanding of the terrible concept of denial and society's lack of concern for environmental needs is particularly intimate. We have been on this earth for just a blip of its existence. How can we then ignore the needs when it is the very reason we're alive? Before the concept of time, this land was here. As man took its first steps, this land was here. As pyramids were built, dynasties rose and fell, this land was here. As settlers came to these American shores, this land greeted them. As my ancestors were murdered, displaced, and forced to hide, this land preserved them. If we do not protect the land, we are not protecting our mother. We're not protecting our source of life, which means we are not protecting ourselves or each other. Wanishi, thank you.
Hi, my name is Wanda Durham Parton, and I want to tell you what the land means to me. The land is our beginning. We need the land to provide for ourselves. We cannot do without the land. It is our own destiny to exist as a Lenape nation and the ability to manage our own affairs. The land is needed to complete us, the Lenape tribe of Delaware. We need to reclaim our land. Thank you.
All of you out there who are listening and who are watching, as First Nation people, we often try to come in terms of what land means to us. Well, you know something? From my heart and from my most inner First Nation spirit, I have composed something for you, and I hope what I'm delivering will feed your soul. For Native people around the country, ancestral land hold meaning beyond ownership. Tribal communities see themselves as stewards. Their particular place in the living world is linked to identity, culture, and history. You see, we are the land that is the fundamental idea embedding in Native American life. The earth is the mind of the people, as we are the mind of the earth. It's not just a mean of survival, a setting for our affairs. It is rather a part of our being. Dynamic, significant, real, it is ourself. You see, nature is something we live with, in, and is a part of it. Its spiritual values calls for reverence, respect, and humility in our relationship with nature. The first over all truth that we should love the land, see that it is beautiful, find delight in it, live in it, and respect it, and by showing our gratitude to the Creator who blessed us with it.
My name is Paige Morning Glory McNatt, and this is my mom.
Hi, I'm Bonita Laughing Heart McNatt.
And we're going to be talking about what the land means to us as Native people. So one of the big things that I think land means to us is about spirituality. It's about our spirit and our connection.
It's hard for me to explain, but some people just don't get it. I think that the environment and all creation is God's glory manifested. But there's a song, and in the song it talks all about God's creation, how Christ was there in the beginning, and he wanted us to be in heaven with him, which didn't happen, so he brought heaven down for us. It's a beautiful song. So I think that like you said, I think it's all about spirituality.
Mm-hmm. And it's definitely hard to put into words too, you know?
Yeah.
It feels very abstract. It's something that just it's something you feel more so than you can put into words. It's a feeling.
Yes, so that's why it's hard to explain to somebody. You have to feel it inside.
In your heart, in your soul.
And his spirit is within us. If you look in the Bible, he's already put his spirit within us. So you know that it's there. You know that it's right. So for me, if you're trying to have a right relationship with the Creator, if you're spiritually aware, mm-hmm. and if you're searching for self-actualization, then you feel it, you know it. I mean, our people had it there at the beginning. We didn't even have the Bible, and we were doing what we were supposed to.
Right.
Stewardship. Mother Earth has been placed here, and she's providing us with everything that we need to survive. So we're called to be stewards.
So something that we talked about earlier too was that as Native people, we kind of have a few different homes here. One of them is Hughes Crossing in Cheswold, named after our family.
Yes, right across from us was the homestead, and then here where we're sitting was part of the Hughes strawberry patch, which was really not a patch, it's a field. It
was a pretty big patch.
Yeah. And so as it was handed down to son, Uncle Perry Hughes had his farm on that side of the road, and then over here where we're sitting, his brother, our ancestor, Edward Hughes, had his farm, but they still collaborated and worked together. So it's all about, land is all about stewardship. We've been put here to take care of it. It's not ours. It's been given to us from the Creator to use for what we need, but to help one another.
Right.
And that's what our people did back then. Although they farmed, they still farmed enough, not just to last for themselves and their families, but in case somebody else in the community needed food.
Right. You have to look for the whole, not just the individual.
Right. That's the way the natives believe. It's all about the tribe, not just self.
Right. You have to look at the bigger picture.
And I think that's what a lot of people, that's one of the reasons why things aren't in balance now, because people don't think that way. So it's a me, myself, and I sometimes world. Me, myself, and I world.
Definitely.
So that's why things are out of balance right now. It's not about owning the land. You're not superior. You are a part of the creation. You're not superior to the creation. You're part of it.
Right. Now, besides here in Cheswold, what's one of our other homes? This is Millsboro.
Oh, yes.
Millsboro, where our powwow is every year.
When I go down there, I really feel...
You feel the spirit put right into you when you enter that circle
Yes.
and enter the grounds, everything. You feel it really strongly down there.
I feel like I'm in another world. I'm
Yes.
so at peace. And that's where our Tillman, Ridgeway, and Cena Mosley actually raised some of their family before they moved up here. So when I go to the powwow, when I go to Indian Mission, we used to go to the Indian Mission homecomings all the time when I was growing up. And we would meet family there, just like at a powwow, we would meet family that we hadn't seen over the year. And we would go inside, have church service, and come outside, and we would eat outside together. That was so awesome. You could see that women had the stoves all lined up against the church wall, and then all the tables were set up over here. People came from Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and other places just to be together to see family again. And
Right.
we ate outside.
So not only is the land, it's spiritual, it's also about the community and family and getting all together on your land. All these places that are significant.
Yes, and that's why it's so important, because it's one person from one generation to the next. And our God is a generational God. We were doing it before we were given the Bible. We were living the way we were supposed to be living, where we've been called. Any other thoughts?
I was going to think about our third home too, which is up in Clayton in the woods.
Yes.
Now up there, that's where I feel very at home and at peace in the woods. You know, being next to the trees and being in the land, being so close to it, you feel the power from everything, because everything has a spirit, everything has its own energy and life to it. So being in there, it's refreshing. You can meditate back there. You feel really connected at peace there. That's why I'd always go back there into the woods for walks or to read books, just so I get that extra sense of peace and wholeness.
In that connectedness, you connect with the Creator.
Yeah, and all of His creations. Yeah.
And so when Angela, my sister, was moving back to California in 2019, fall of 2019, I had my niece with me, and I thought, oh no, she's just the perfect age for us to start teaching about the land and our ancestry and our culture. So
I have to pass it on.
I was upset. Yes. And I didn't know this until last year. Angela told me that she saw when she was little. So I was probably about 11. She was probably about 5. She said from time to time she would see a tall, dark figure outside here. She didn't tell me that till last year when we were talking. So she said, who could it have been? So I said, it could be Uncle Perry, because I remember Mom saying that he was tall. So I said, let me find a picture. So I sent her the picture, and she said, oh my gosh, that's him. That's the man I saw. So we kind of had our little laugh, but I told him, I said he was coming back to make sure that his strawberries were here, the ground's being taken care of the way it should be. and he's checking up on us, our ancestors, making sure we're okay. Chief Mark always says all of my relatives, because in the native way, everything is connected and we are a part of it. We're a part of the web of life. We're not superior to anything else. So that's why we're supposed to say all of my relations, all my relatives, the stones, trees, the fish, everything flying, everything in the rivers themselves, because the rivers are the lifeblood. The water, the rivers are the lifeblood of Mother Earth.
Exactly.
And so that's why we're all related and all connected, but we are called to be the stewards of everything.
Our lumber, our air, our water. Those are things that we need. That those are gifts. Those are not resources to be sold and packaged, and then take those packages on to fill and sicken this earth. We must do better. We must do better as a people. Humanity must do better. If we listen to our indigenous family, and if people just would slow down and go back and connect with the original keepers of this land, our people, other indigenous communities. We were the original keepers of this land. And we know the lessons. The lessons were gifted to us so that we may sustain in this life. And so we must do better. We must do better, and we must teach our young ones that these are the rules. These are the rules to live by, and just walk and live in this earth in a good way. So just to be respectful of all the blessings that Creator has afforded us. It has to be corrected, or we won't have an earth. We have the earthquakes, we have the hurricanes, we have the tornadoes. The earth is crying back. She's showing us that I don't like this. I don't like this. You humanity, you must do better. And the strides we take aren't enough. They aren't enough. Our Arctic is melting. Our polar bears soon won't have any place to live. That is so sad. That is so sad that we have depleted things and sickened things in a way that she's changing. Our earth is changing. The gift is changing. How will those behind us survive and be afforded the blessings that we all can appreciate or should appreciate? So we must do better. We must pay attention to these things. We must learn about it. We must push people to acknowledge it, and we must all get on board and all get on the same page. And if people aren't understanding, if they're not listening to you, get involved. Every day, make a decision to live in a better way, for what's good for this land, what's good for your people, what's good for humanity. Again, if you don't know, get some resources. Read about it, study it. Go to some marches, call your local legislatures and make a plea for changes. Every small change is a change. And let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do as a people. And my prayer is that everyone loves this land and appreciates it as much as I do. And with that, I will close out. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Hey, Winikshas Felicia, Washnash Yakima Kanik Kubak Kanik, Nishakshas Lenape Hoking Pa, Ku the Yakima Nation Pa. When I think about land and my relationship to it, I think about land as the source of life and the source of all creation. And I think about it not just as the earth beneath my feet, but as the entire ecosystem that humans are a small part of, and it's our responsibility to stay properly in balance with everything else that's happening around us. As a Yakima person from my homelands, I also know and understand how deeply Indigenous identity is tied to the land. Our food comes from the land, our culture comes from the land, our ceremonies and our creation stories all come from the land. Our clothing, our art, our medicine, every way of life that we have is deeply connected to the ecosystem around us. So as we work to preserve the earth, we are also working to preserve ourselves and our lifeways and our own cultures. Climate justice, therefore, is deeply entrenched in and tied to Indigenous sovereignty and Indigenous lifeways, because as we work to preserve and protect nature, we also are working to preserve and protect ourselves and our ways of being.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much to Priscilla Bell, Felicia Tater, and Kitty Height for putting that video together. And while Victoria is refreshing the slideshow just to incorporate some edits that were just recently incorporated into there, I just want to mention something really important that the first speaker talked about, which is women being the basis of the land and the basis of culture and Indigenous society. And I want us to think about why in our society and also in Canada, there's this huge crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women. They're still being targeted because they were the basis of the land and the basis of the culture, and they're still being targeted today. That kind of clicked something for me that hadn't really clicked before. And I hope we all meditate on that and think about what that means. You know, the patriarchy system that we're living in, that's not Indigenous to this land. That's not native. So yes, we're going to continue on in a few minutes with Indigenous 215. And as soon as we queue up the slideshow, we're going to get started.